Welcome to Three Films and a Podcast, the show where Destiny brought together three friends to enhance each other's cinematic journey by watching three new movies in a series of themed rounds. There is no claim of ownership on any film footage used in this episode, as all film footage is owned in its entirety by the copyright holders. And just like every car in Too Fast, Too Furious, this podcast contains spoilers. Enjoy!
Good day, everyone. I'm going to start this episode out with something that I like to do. I don't love to do it, but I tried removing this segment from our
can't do it
from the bill, and the listeners won't have it. Well, we've gotten a lot of feedback.
You know how many followers we lost when you mentioned that last time?
I know. I always flirt with getting rid of it. Listeners won't allow it, so we're doing the visualization exercise. We're doing it. And so that being said, if you're listening or watching on YouTube, I invite you to close your eyes. It's only going to take a moment, so feel free to do it with no matter what you're doing, or no matter where you find yourself. It'll just be one moment, and I'm going to take you back. We're going to go back to the 90s. You're at the video store, and you've got one of those coupons for a free 5-day rental. You want a comfort movie, one you could see yourself watching multiple times over the next 5 days. You recall one with Anthony LaPaglia, where he and a group of odd characters find themselves trying to acquire enough money to save a business. You love the character dynamics in it, as well as the soundtrack. You do it. You grab it. You rent it. No, I'm not referring to Mixed Nuts from 1994. I'm talking about 1995's Empire Records, starring Liv Tyler and Renee Zellweger. Here, ready to chat all things Empire Records, are Tyler up in, you guessed it, Salt Lake City.
That's right.
And Ben.
I know people were just throwing darts at the board trying to find where I am.
Where is he? Track him down.
You guessed it, Salt Lake City.
And Ben's up in, Salt Lake City.
We mustn't dwell. No, not today. We can't. Not on Rex Manning Day.
Beautiful line read.
Thank you.
Wow. Yes.
Thank you.
Perfect delivery. We are Three Films and a Podcast. We're three folks challenging each other and all of you to watch movies you've never seen before, to join us on this movie club. You can obviously find us here since you're watching or listening to this, but you can find us anywhere, on any pod platform pretty much, and on any social media. And today we are very pleased, very excited to have a new guest, Gomez. Gomez, how's it going?
Going good, guys. Going good. I'm glad to be here tonight, actually, with you guys with this awesome, one of my favorite movies from the 90s, actually.
I love that.
Yes.
So I was excited when you guys pitched it to me. I'm like, we got to do it.
I'm stoked. This is a quintessential 90s movie for sure. Like soundtrack, everything. I'm super excited.
Oh, so am I.
Yeah, Gomez, let's give everyone an opportunity to hear where they can find you. Give yourself an opportunity to plug where they can find you.
So pretty much, I'm part of the Playlist Wars podcast family. It was me and Brian Colburn. We are actually on a break right now, a little hiatus or break, whatever you guys want to call it.
We were on a break.
But you can find us on playlistwarspodcast.com. Which you have our list of our shows. You can hear it. We got probably around 70 shows up there. We talk about Metallica, dance anthems, Poison.
I mean, one of my favorite episodes you guys did was Queen.
Oh, Queen.
I love that. And like you guys did Weird Al, which was cool because even they threw in even some live whatever recordings of it. So like, yeah, I mean, I'm going to take a second to plug your pod for you. Like, it is awesome. I don't remember exactly where I found you guys, but I was super into it from the beginning. And it's just so cool that you guys do the voting, but you also like made the playlist, whatever, on Spotify so people can listen to it, which is so cool. So
that's rad.
Each you pick 10 songs, right? From an artist, that right?
Yep. So it would be 10 songs, depending on who was the artist. So great example. One of my favorite episodes is Grand Theft Auto.
Oh,
so,
nice.
So if anybody listens to the show knows how huge of a Grand Theft Auto 5 fan I am, or through the game series.
Mm-hmm.
So we did a playlist wars for it. So myself, Brian, our special guest, picked 10 songs that we feel was the best.
Nice.
For our playlist. And then we let the playlisters, as we call them, the groups, who vote to who got it right. You know, who do you think had the best playlist? Brian had some great playlists. I had some great, the special guests. So it's always like always was very close. Like it wasn't a blowout.
Yeah.
Feel like once in a blue moon that ever happened. But it's like by a point, by a vote, you know, it was great. And we had a blast. But everyone can still find us on Good Pods, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, everywhere you can find us. Now, I am venturing off on my own a little bit, and I will be introducing a new show probably in 2023, probably like mid-January, end of January, the Sleevey G Show. As you guys see it, I have the sleeveless shirt. This is how I did every Playlist Wars podcast show.
I love
with
it.
Backwards hat and the cut-off shirt.
You got your brands
out. Yeah.
Yeah, well, they're not really guns anymore. They're more like, you know, whatever these days. But I'm looking forward to it. It's not going to be like Playlist Wars. It's a different thing for me, because I like touching on a lot of stuff. We'll be touching on movies like we're talking tonight. Video games, especially ones that are from the past, the future, to the present.
Nice.
Movies, same way, you know, past, present, future. Music, sports, up-to-date sports. One thing that I will not talk about is politics, because you lose a friend somewhere in that. So it's a politic-free show. You know, we can talk about adult coloring books, health. You know, it's just going to be a mixture of everything, you know what I mean? But it's going to be focused on that for a solid hour to the special guest. And we'll see how it goes. You know, we're going to be tackling that soon. I'll be tackling that on my own soon, and I'm looking forward to it. I know a lot of guys are excited on the podcast family on Twitter.
Yeah.
When they heard I was going solo a little bit, you know. But I'm excited when we come back to Playlist Wars though. I look forward to when Brian is ready, you know, and if anybody wants to check him out on briancolburn.com. He's got his own CDs, he sings. He's a talented musician in that boat too. So when this show idea came up, Brian was definitely like the musical person. He knows about music. And the first couple of shows I was trying to find my niche. And I think it wasn't until Beastie Boys where I found something that kind of worked, and it surprised Brian and my special guest where we did No Sleep to Brooklyn, and I was going with a Steven Seagal movie that had that Out for Justice, and they're like, wait, I love this idea. You know? So my persona on finally finding me on the podcast about the movies, the video games, the TV shows, that was more me. So, you know, that's how I found my niche.
I love it.
So with Brian being the musical genius and then me was the movie, video game, TV show kind of guy. So it worked out really well. We had a lot of people I'm seeing on Twitter, even tonight, actually, you know, hey, trying to see how you guys are doing. We miss you. You know what I mean? It just feels good to see that, and knowing that we actually touched a lot of guys and a lot of people with that show, which I was kind of surprised. You know, I was surprised we said, hey, if I get 20 people to listen to me, I'll be excited. You know what I mean? So I'm a newbie. Brian had Tune Styles with his other partner at one point. You know what I mean? So Brian's a podcast veteran. I was the rookie. So, but you know, he showed me, he taught me, and I caught the bug, and it's just.
You guys are a great combo. You have a really good, you know, fan base on Twitter, very engaged, which is just like, that's why I think any of us do any of this is just like wanting to, you know, build a community and talk to people. So you guys were awesome. I highly recommend it to anybody that's interested in that stuff. It's so good.
I appreciate that, guys.
So I guess moving into the main show here, one of our most popular types of rounds is our rounds called the Unsung Gems round. We essentially choose movies that we ourselves really enjoy, but that we feel like the masses have underappreciated or just haven't seen. So we each usually pick, you know, a movie that we love that it's underappreciated. Lately, in the last couple of rounds, we've actually allowed people who are in our clubhouse and patrons to choose an unsung gem for us to watch. So we've done that as well. It's been really rewarding because then we get to see movies that we haven't seen, which is what we try to do. But we decided to remix this round a little bit. As Ben has stated in previous episodes, this is kind of our Christmas gift to ourselves. We spend a lot of time watching movies we haven't seen. This time we want to watch movies that we have seen that movies that get plenty of love already. And so we're flipping Unsung Gem upside down. These are the sung gems. So these are movies that we love, that for the most part people in our circles also love and appreciate. And so to add to this category, we covered Ferris Bueller last week, last episode. That was Ben's choice. Or actually, is this coming out before Ferris Bueller's episode?
No, this will come out in the middle. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I'm on schedule here.
You're on schedule. I'm not cutting that.
He's not cutting that. No.
Nope.
Nice.
So yeah, we kicked off this round with Ferris Bueller's Day Off. We had a great chat about John Hughes, and this week I just feel so privileged to nominate this movie. I find a reason to cover this movie on the pod. I have nominated Empire Records. And just to give a little bit of background as to why I chose this movie, this movie actually probably could be considered an unsung gem in some regards, because there are still probably too many people who haven't seen it, in my opinion. Tyler's raising his hand. Yeah.
Have you never seen it before this?
You never seen it?
No, I had seen like parts of it, and I thought I'd seen the whole thing, but then when I watched the whole thing, I was like, oh shit, I actually had never seen that.
I mean, it's not as egregious as me in Lord of the Rings, but I'm still just amazed you hadn't seen Empire Records before, but that's great.
Yeah.
Empire Records is on my everything on Hulu, Amazon.
Oh yeah.
I think it's on my hard drive right now.
Yeah, so it could be considered unsung gem. I feel like there are still too many people who haven't seen it. It's also like it's not rated super high on Rotten Tomatoes or some of those rating websites. But most people, I have to say, in my circle have seen it, and we all sort of collectively like it. I don't really know anyone who doesn't like it, honestly. If you don't like it, go ahead and comment in the comment section. We'd love to hear it. And we'd love to hear why. But one thing that I have a few reasons why this movie in particular is very nostalgic and sentimental to me. I'm going to list one of them right now, and we'll get into some more of it later. But one of the things that me and my 17-year-old let me start that over.
Careful how you phrase this.
Yeah, exactly. I gotta be careful. I gotta be careful. I almost said my 17-year-old girlfriend.
A little bit.
Back when I was 17 and was dating my also 17-year-old girlfriend, who is now my wife.
Yes.
One of the things that we discovered early was that we both had a love for this movie. And when I was 17, I didn't know very many people who had seen this movie. It was in that sweet spot of the 90s where unless you had like an older brother or older people who were kind of into this teen movie, you wouldn't have seen it. You would have been too young. So we just happened to be in that group where we had like older siblings who were like all in on this movie. And so we saw it and we loved it and we bonded over it. And it's honestly probably the reason why we're married today.
Well, that was also like apparently up for grabs with her not seeing Indiana Jones without you. So I'm glad at least you guys saw this together. You know, that's what solidified it.
I mean, we had a strong rope, you know.
It's good. You had the bond of Empire Records to last through Crystal Skull. Got it. That makes sense. Yeah.
But yeah, I wanted to hear, and I'll elaborate a little more on mine in a minute, but I would love to hear your guys' experience with it. Gomez, you've already talked about how excited you were to join for this specific episode, for this specific movie. How did you encounter this movie? What's your story with this movie?
So growing up, when I was looking for my first job, when I was like 10, 12, 13, 14 years old, I was applying to record stores because I liked music.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not like Brian, who knows all that stuff, but I just loved hearing music. Some of the music I could have vetoed too, like War. You know, like in the movie.
Hey. What you doing, man?
Exercising my veto, man.
It's only 9 o'clock. I mean, you sure you want to do that?
Mark, listening to this crap is guaranteed to make you sterile.
You know, AC/DC, Metallica, you know, some of the recognizable name bands, Wu-Tang Clan. Redman, DMX, all these guys later on. But, to work in a record store was the cool thing to do. And at that point, kids, it was called Sam Goody or Tower Records.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Or FYE, if you remember that store. So you were considered cool working at a record store. Matter of fact, you were considered the shit. If you worked at a record store. That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to be the man, but that didn't happen. It turned out to be a busboy. But I made more money that way. So
you gotta afford those records,
Yeah. So for me, that was, a reason that watching this movie, I was like, wow, this reminds me of me with the kid Warren Beatty.
Yeah. Oh my God.
I didn't hold up a record store, so let's get that right first.
Yeah,
that's good.
Well, sounds like you should have.
Yeah, would have gotten the job.
True, but I didn't find any cool managers like Joe in the movie.
Yeah.
So,
Okay. Yeah.
Totally.
So you're not gonna get that kind of guy.
Yeah.
But it was funny. Like, I was like, why can't I get the job? It's like, oh, you're too young, or you're not the right fit. It's like, wow, who gives a shit? But it is what it is. But seeing the movie, seeing what they had, first of all, you talk about one adolescent adult of Joe, who reminds me of me, kind of loose, having fun, dressed. Well, I don't dress like that with the long hair. So I did love his hair in that movie, though.
That's very cool.
So cool.
It was, when he flipped his hair back, it's like, damn, I wish I had that. So, having the kids working there, you had Liv Tyler, Renee Zellweger, you had all these, two big name girls, you know what I mean? Everybody else. Well, you had Robin Tunney, you had other groups, but to have those two bigger names than everybody else.
Yeah.
You had the Hottie, you had the Brain, you had the Psychosomatic one. You had a couple different flavors there. And it just reminds me of like a family.
Yeah.
So, like right now where I work, it's like a dysfunctional family where I work. So it's one of those things. But, it's just a great movie. The storyline was hilarious. The characters were funny. Rex Manning cracked me up because I really did not like him and his hair. And that song, oh God.
Say no more, Gomez.
Say no more.
Joe, it's Rex Manning Day.
Rex Manning Day.
Oh, Rexy, you're so sexy.
Hello, baby. Call me on my coffin with a je ne sais quoi. You say you need a little of my hoo-la-la.
It's just funny, you know what I mean? So seeing that, it just brings me back to the teen years for me, early 90s before 95, because that's when before I went to high school in 94, 95, I became a football player and work just turned into whatever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So when you play high school football, it's like playing in Texas.
Yeah.
You're dedicated,
Oh, yeah.
Your whole life, yeah.
You're done.
Yeah.
Texas forever. Yeah.
So it was just, like I said, I love the movie. I just thought it was directed very well. I thought it was done well. The storyline was perfect. Music wise, unbelievable. Probably one of the best soundtracks out there at that time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So blew my mind. So even the songs, they played it perfectly throughout the movie. You had the Jim Blossoms, you had them, you had a lot of different names in there. And where they put the music in that movie was perfect spots. So, they really, the attention to detail was there.
Yeah.
What was your favorite needle drop in the movie?
Ooh.
I've got mine. Mine was the Dire Straits, Romeo and Juliet.
Dire Straits.
I love that song so much. And
that's one of my all-time
favorites. I'm not gonna lie. The Jim Blossom song.
Yeah.
I actually have it. Wait, where is it? I have it queued
in
up
the
here.
car or at the end.
Till I hear it from you. It was towards the end. I think it was the movie.
Okay.
So
I think there's a couple instances where they come up. So
yeah, they do, but it's Till I Hear It From You.
Okay.
I don't know. It's one of those songs that I truly like, for the secretly love. Let's just say.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't like to splat it out there, but now it will be now. Everyone's like, wow, Gomez loves the Jim Blossoms. Nice.
That's right. It comes on the radio. You roll up your windows, but then you turn it all the way up.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's like the opposite of Office Space, where you're like playing gangster rap and you turn it up. It's like, oh, it's Jim Blossoms. I better roll up the windows here. Like,
but now at my age, I'll forget it. Just lower the damn windows because these kids now listen to this. I just don't like the music of now like it used to be.
Yeah, for sure.
There's no I don't know, harmony, rhythm. I don't know.
We're becoming our parents.
Not for you.
Yeah, it's true. We are. I love the needle drop question. I think my favorite in here, it's hard not to pick the AC/DC, like, drum out the rage. But I think my favorite is when she's like, this goes out to one of our coworkers and starts playing Money.
No problem.
This song goes out to our employee of the week, Lucas.
Oh, a little tribute, man.
The best things in life are free, but you can give them to the birds and bees. I want money. That's what I want.
The Flying Lizards cover. I'm like, oh, it's so funny. Like, just to do that while he's just sitting in the back. Like, oh, okay, yeah. I love that needle drop.
Screw you guys. Yeah.
Yeah.
Here you go.
It's funny hearing you also talk about like the different types of like I guess archetypes, whatever, of these people, because to tie it to last week's episode, it is kind of like Grace, it's like the Sportos, the Motorheads, Geek Sluts, Bloods, Wastoids, dweebs, like that we kind of get one of each of these people in this movie.
Yeah.
Don't forget about the dickheads. Yeah.
And they all think he's a righteous dude.
He's a righteous dude. Yeah. No, I really love all the different people in this. This is such a well cast movie. Obviously, like you mentioned, Gomez, like two of them really went off to just like have outstanding careers, like Academy Awards and Lord of the Rings, all that kind of stuff. But I just love how this whole group works together. I got exposed to this movie in high school. It was played at like, we were skipping class and went to someone's house, and this girl who I thought was like just the coolest girl, like not in any like a romantic way, but like it was someone who was younger than me, but I saw as like an older sister. Like she had the best taste. I was just like, oh, whatever she's into, I want to be into. Like she's the one who like told me about Taking Back Sunday and stuff. Like I was just like, oh, cool. This girl has the greatest taste. And so she put on Empire Records while we were there. And I was like, what is this movie? I was just like entranced, this is such a cool movie. I love this idea. Our version of, the FYE stuff, we had that here in Utah, but the big one we had was called Media Play. There's just like, essentially this big, huge, like bowling alley size place, just full of records and CDs and all that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah.
So it's just so cool to
Gray
think.
Whale.
There's Gray Whale too. That's where the real cool people.
Gray Whale's the cool local one.
That's the cool local one. That probably would have been more the Empire Records. It would have. Empire Records would have turned into a Media Play. If things had gone wrong. But yeah, I don't know. I was just super into this. A lot of these songs, honestly, like outside of AC/DC, I don't think I even knew many of them at all. So the soundtrack really hit me too, which was cool. And as we'll talk about later in the Rushmore, it's just the idea of people coming together and kind of becoming a family, due to, Tyler and I worked together for like a decade or something like that, out at the airport. Time. At least it was a while, but it's almost like I describe it as like a shared trauma because like we both were out there, but that's kind of the same thing where it's just like, you kind of become this found family of just like, there are things you can talk about with people who only they really get it because they were out there, and that kind of feels like that's what this group is, where they could like, you can complain about the customer. You have like this like shorthand or whatever when it comes to talking about it. And that was just always such a cool feeling. It's like being in on the in joke kind of thing. It's like, yeah, I want to hang out with these people. Like even fucking Warren, like even he wanted to come work there because it like he was robbing them, but they still were just like, we're cool. Like if you can be cool, you could be here, like. So yeah, I mean, I was so happy when you picked this, man. I did not think this is what you're going to pick for your Sung Gem. So when you did, I was really stoked that we were going to be able to talk about it. And I will just say, without exaggeration, probably once every 2 weeks, at least once a month, in my head, I'm like, my name isn't fucking Warren. Like, I don't know why, but the way he says that is just so funny to me. And then everyone else like, his name isn't fucking Warren. His name isn't fucking Warren. Like, I love that bit so much.
My favorite, like when he asks, "Is how old are you?" Shut up before
he's a minor. Yeah, so good. But
he's a minor.
Such a good cast, such a fun movie, and definitely started my crush with Liv Tyler, without a doubt.
Boy, howdy. Yeah, it's a strange thing to be 39 and realizing that is a scene that would have been really important to me as a young man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Trying to watch it respectfully, I guess I should say.
Yeah.
As a man 43.
I know. Try to watch it with some distance, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. But yeah, echoing what you guys were saying, I mean, so Gomez, you tried to get the job in the record store, and I never did try to get the job in the record store. But where I did get a job was at a skate shop. So I worked at a skate shop in the mall for a bit, and then I went to like a cool local owned one, you know, and I worked there with a handful of friends. And I can easily say, I can look back on those years as some of like the most fun years I've ever had in my entire life. You know, this movie hit me so hard in the nostalgia feels.
Yeah.
Like the experience these kids had in this movie was like eerily similar to what it was like to work in the skateboard shop with my friends. You know what I mean? Like we were always arguing over who was going to play what CD. Who got to pick the skate video that was playing on the TVs, who got to do this, who got to do that. We chased shoplifters, like all that stuff. Like this movie hit me so hard, and beyond like my emotional connection to it, it was, you know, like everyone's been saying, it's just so charming. It's so fun. The music is so cool. The characters are so cool. This movie hit me like a brick to the heart, man. And like, I've been looking forward to watching it because I know it's Matt and Ben. I know you guys really like it. Most people that have seen it really like it. And I, for whatever reason, had just never seen the whole thing. I think a lot of it was like, Ben, you were saying like the cool kids always liked this movie growing up.
Yeah.
And there was a part of me that was like, always wanted to be like, not counterculture, but I just want to be like, I don't like the cool things. Like,
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like growing up, I was such an idiot. Like I didn't watch Brad Pitt movies because girls liked him. I was like, no, fuck that guy. I'm not going to watch his movies.
Yeah, it was
or
me
like,
and Titanic. I'm like, I don't know who this Leo guy is. I'm not watching that.
I don't even care. There's nudity in
The Walking Dead.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like everyone loved The Walking Dead. So I was like, it probably sucks if everyone likes it. Then it turns out it's pretty sweet for the first little 3 seasons.
Yeah.
Anyways.
First couple of seasons.
First couple seasons are pretty good. But so like with this movie, it was one of those things like everyone liked Empire Records. So I don't know. Maybe I thought it was like too cliche and I was just too fucking cool for it. Well, none of which is true. I'm an idiot. So I'm glad I finally got around to it. And I honestly couldn't have been happier. I had like little happy tears in my eyes watching this. I was
Nice.
so stoked.
That's great. I love
That's
that.
great.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, I grew up loving this movie. That visualization exercise that we did at the beginning was semi-autobiographical because I discovered this movie off of a coupon. Me and my brother went to the video store. Actually, it wasn't off of a coupon. He had the Blockbuster membership that you turn in a video, get another video out, or two. I can't remember exactly how it worked, but this is one that I think we snagged a couple times. Like every few weeks, we were grabbing this one from the video store. It's just as Ben likes to call them, comfort movies. Like it's just a movie that I can throw on anytime, in between anything. I just really love it. Gomez, as you said, like the soundtrack, the workplace, like as the youth today would call it, it's a vibe. Like this is a complete vibe, and it's a true relic of the 90s. Like everything about it just oozes the 90s. Just the fact alone that it's in a record store, but then you have my gosh, the relics in the record store. The soundtrack itself is a relic of that time period. Like the clothing styles, like everything about it just like puts you there. It's almost like a period piece at this point. Just by the way that it aged. But I, again, just to echo what you guys said, I aspired to have a workplace like that. Like that is the coolest workplace. One thing that I really appreciated about Joe is that like he's like this manager that's cool with the teens, but not in like there's no way that you can interpret it as creepy because he still like treats them like they're idiots.
He's not friends with them. He just understands them.
Yeah, exactly. And he wants to protect them, like from themselves in many cases.
He's not trying to be cool like them or anything like that. He's just like, like Tyler said, he just kind of respects them. He's like, these people are fine, but he's not being weird about it.
No, definitely. But you know what's kind of funny? If you paid attention in the movie like I did, and you listen to Joe, the way how he talks, is sometimes he would come out with this weird accent.
Yeah.
Like, where he says, where do you get my $9,000?
Yeah.
You know, there was an accent. I'm like, wait a minute. He didn't have that accent 2 seconds ago. What the hell?
The director had to keep reminding him, we're losing the accent.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, so that's how you show, like, when you're watching a movie so many times, you pick up on these little quirks, and you're like, what the hell? You know, and when you're talking characters, Lucas, I mean, you lost $9,000 in Atlantic City. What the fuck were you thinking?
Yeah.
It's so cool. Like I really love, it's something we've all hit on, but it's like the camaraderie between all these people, you know, and how they are continue to be themselves. Like when Demi Mazer, who's like awesome, you know, but she's like, it's, you know, it's a lot of the teen boys really like this album. And they're just like laughing at her, like, no, like nobody likes Rex Manning's album, you know?
Do any of you like Rex Manning's new record? What?
Dance Party USA, teeny bopper type of shit, right?
But they're just kind of like able to have, I guess you believe their connection. It feels like people who have worked together for years, you know?
Yeah.
And the fact that like we meet all these people at the beginning, but then you get like fucking Eddie that comes in with, you know, the brownies. It's like, I don't even know if he works here. I think he just like hangs out with Mark. You know what I mean? You know, he's
works there.
No, I know he does, but he just like, he kind of feels like a guy who just like got the job because he just kept coming in every day, you know? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So now he's like, you know, I made him with extra sugar, you know, like, so he's like this kind of weird loopy dude. And then like Burko comes in, who is probably like the coolest out of all of them. Like he does not give a shit. Like he's like in a band, like a super cool dude, but like he's also obviously very caring because he's worried about Deborah, like whatever they went through, that kind of thing. But it's just so interesting to have some of these characters come in and out throughout the movie, but you know that all these people know each other really well.
I want to know how much they paid Robin Tunney to shave her head.
Dude.
Yeah. She's a very attractive lady.
Yeah.
And this movie, she went like goth, but I want to know how much they paid her just to shave her head, because that's epic in this movie.
It really is.
Well, I remember like Natalie Portman shaving her head for V for Vendetta was like a big deal.
Oh, yeah.
Like this should have been a big deal too. You know?
Yeah. I mean, it's funny, you know what I mean? Like, you know, you have AJ who loves what's her name in the movie, Corey.
Yeah.
You know, he's a talented artist, you know. He wants to go to art school, but he wants to be with Corey, you know. Rex Manning, your quintessential
sexy Rexy.
I wouldn't call him sexy, man. That's pretty bad.
Yeah.
I mean, first thing you hear him is like, he cut it too short. Oh man, he's the white bitch of the movie, you know.
But all his stuff is funny too. Though, like when he's doing the autograph signing, and all these people are like, "Oh, I've never heard of you. My mom loves you." Though, you know, it's just like you kind of seeing him like realize, like, "Oh, this maybe I shouldn't be doing this at a record store. Like, this is not my demo anymore."
There was one CD. The girl goes, "I don't even know you who you are. My mom loves you." And he said something. He's like, "Oh, just go.
Yeah. He's like, "Does she still have her real teeth or something like that?" You know, I was like, "Never mind, just go." I just want to say really quickly before we move on, I have on my Empire Records shirt, and the thing that bugs me the most is like the main character in the middle is AJ.
Yeah,
but I'm noticed like, that. He's, in my opinion, the most boring person in this movie. It's like, why is he the center of this shirt? Like he's the most boring character, but I don't know. I'm glad he was there, I guess.
I will say that Angie was gushing over AJ this time around more than I've ever seen her gush over anybody before. So I don't know.
Just this bleeding heart romantic.
So maybe you might need to
watch out.
You might need to wrap up that shirt for her and give it to her for Christmas.
Yeah. For 17-year-old Angie.
Should we have like an old man Andy Rooney moment here and just lament the fact that kids aren't going to have that experience soon going forward? You know what I mean? Like I was watching it, it's like, man, like even like any store, like really, like I don't know, man. I don't go to a store anymore.
I remember lamenting it. Like I know just because the options we had, like me and Graydon would go with Ben to Best Buy, you know, and pick up, you know, a stack of CDs. But even then, we were already sort of like mourning the loss of the record shop. You know, it was like
Best Buy has no soul. They have all the stuff. They don't have a soul. You know.
Yeah. So it was like cool to pick out all this stuff, but it wasn't that same. Yeah, it wasn't the same thing.
No, it was not, because I remember.
And I don't even. Oh, go ahead.
No, you go first.
Well, I just mean like the working there aspect, right? Like going there and shopping is one thing, but just like I don't know. I know there's always going to be places for people to work, and I know like social dynamics are changing. Matt, your kids probably have friend groups that are perfectly happy meeting and interacting online. But to me, like I said, those years at that skateboard shop are some of the best years of my life. And it's just like, I don't know, man, it makes me sad to think that that might be, something that happens less and less.
What's funny, I was just talking to my wife the other day and we were just talking about how the mall's changing. So there was a mall not that far from me called Willowbrook Mall. You had Sears, you had JCPenney's, you had Macy's, you had all these big name stores. Sears is gone. So now they put a Dave and Buster's. Now, the other day, I didn't even realize they put a BJ's in there.
So I don't even know what that is.
It's like a chain restaurant thing.
Oh, okay.
No, actually, no, it's a wholesale store like Costco.
There's a BJ's like restaurant on the West Coast. It's like a Chili's kind of thing.
Okay. No, the BJ's for here in East Coast is like Costco.
Oh,
gotcha.
So it's the cheaper version of Costco.
Yeah.
So I was like, holy Christ, I didn't even see that. And I remember growing up when my mom would take me to the mall when she had to go shopping. She'll let me go when I was 10 years old, walk around the mall, meet here at a certain time.
Yeah.
No, not a problem. And the first spots I would hit was Sam Goody. Okay. I would be walking up and down the aisle to see if there's anything that catches my eye.
Yeah.
And what was funny, what was next to it was KB Toy Store.
It's a dream, dude.
So you're talking about, and then at that point, there was another store, like it wasn't a hot topic, but it was something similar back in the day.
Yeah.
I just forgot the name of the store. So it was all three stores in one spot.
Just spend the whole time there.
It's a dream.
It was the dream. You just went from there. And sometimes I was buying things from all three stores, and sometimes I just looked and just said, man, I wish I really worked here.
Just having real flashbacks now of like KB Toy. I remember I wanted that Rufio dagger so bad from Hook, and I was like, KB Toys, like, Dad, I need this. Please get this for me. But I don't know. Yeah, to your point, Tyler, I think it's also just a lot of the shared experiences that we miss, because like Matt and I, a lot of our friendship early on was based on all four people needing to be in the same room to play Halo together. Like we all had to be there to do that. But it was cool because now we have those memories where now we just like talk shit online, which is convenient, but it's like, I don't know who has those kind of shared experiences anymore, whether it's working or playing, that kind of a thing.
Yeah, I guess
you don't anymore.
It's hard to say. It's just different. I mean, I don't know what it's like to be a kid anymore, so maybe it's the same, but I don't know. It's hard to say, and it just makes me sad that it might not be,
Yeah.
I will say this though. I remember when I was back in the day, I was a huge Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle fan. And it's kind of funny. You go to the stores back in that day when they were out 89, 90. And then when you think about the price that they had on these things, they were $4.99 for this action figure. And I'm going, wow, those were cheap back then. And at that time, that was expensive if you think about it.
Yeah.
You're like, holy shit. But now you look at the freaking toys now, an action figure is $15. And you know what? You're going, that $4.99 is not that bad anymore.
Exactly. That's changed prices now with the CDs, because those, Sam Goody days, those are $20 CDs. And now it's like, here for $5, please take these CDs off our hands. Like, no one will buy these. Please take them.
You'd be surprised, actually, here in Jersey, there is a record shop still. And it's in Princeton, New Jersey. It's called Princeton Record Shop. Now, they sell all used CDs and movies. But let me tell you, you go there, it's just nostalgic, because if you still have a portable CD player, you can actually listen to the CD.
Oh, cool.
Sweet.
Before you buy it. So it's kind of cool. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, it's really cool.
Rad.
So you want to talk about nostalgic. You know what I found there one time? The Baywatch soundtrack.
Whoa.
Yes.
Does Hasselhoff sing on it?
Yes, he does.
Hell yeah. That's amazing.
What a find.
So I didn't buy it. I mean, I could have bought it for $2.
Yeah.
I was just like, I sat there, I listened to it. I'm like, why am I listening to David Hasselhoff?
That's so good.
Hey, you got the story out of it.
Yeah, you had to do it.
Yeah, you had to, but it was like, stay as Michael Knight, not Mitch. Don't sing.
Yeah. So Tyler, you had the skate shop. I too had my Empire Records crew at the West Jordan Outdoor Pool. It was a similar situation. Ben mentioned, you don't even know if Eddie works there because he's like coming and hanging out, and like that's what that West Jordan Outdoor Pool is for us. Like we'd go hang out even on the off shift.
Yeah.
This is so beautiful to me. So it's well documented my escapade sneaking into movies when I was younger. I also snuck into the West Jordan community pool a number of times at night. I love this so much.
On Matt's watch.
Yeah.
We both let him
There's a
get
little
away
hole
with
in the
it.
fence on like the northeast side of the park, the
Yeah,
northeast side of the complex. You could go under that fence. And if you've never jumped off a high dive at night while the water is perfectly still and the lights are on in the pool, give it a shot. It's a rush. Like you see straight through to the floor of the pool. So you feel like you're just going to, hit the bottom.
As long
Pretty
as
intense.
As long as it's not in Grown Ups too, when you see Kevin James fly off the thing and almost landed on what's his name's face, butt naked.
Oh yeah.
You have to pay extra for that. But
Yeah, it's extra.
I just like that I was your shoplifter at where you worked. Both of you.
You were our fucking Warren.
Probably 6 years earlier than I got there, but unless you were in your 20s, sneaking into the pool.
I'm not going to confirm or deny
All
that
right.
accusation.
No, the funniest thing that someone did there was at one of the like after hours parties, there was a dude that he did his research to not harm himself, but it was still super stupid. But he lit himself on fire, then jumped off the diving board.
Amazing.
It was one of the coolest things I'd
working?
ever seen. No, it was after hours, but it was cool, but also terrifying.
A little terrifying. Jesus.
But to call back to last week's episode, Ben, you kind of a little bit touched on this, like the John Hughes of it all. We had a discussion last week about sort of John Hughes fingerprints on pop culture, and Empire Records follows his blueprint. It's the 90s. It's a different. It's like an alternative 90s John Hughes movie.
Mm-hmm. Totally.
Basically, with the way the characters interact. And I think that's why the characters and the found family dynamic is very endearing to the audiences.
That's a good comp. It's got like that sort of like surreal, elevated reality. And just
John Hughes high fidelity. It's his version.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Totally.
Another segment that we do on our pod is we like to imagine that you're stuck on an elevator with somebody. The power's gone out and you have your phone out, you're watching the movie and you're talking about it, and you have to show them one scene so that once the power goes on in the elevator and they get off, they want to go watch the movie based off of the scene that you showed them.
Before we get started, does anyone want to get out?
What scene are you showing them? This is called our elevator pitch. So Gomez, I'd be curious, you have your phone out. What scene are you showing someone on an elevator?
So there's two scenes that I love in this movie. First of all, it's Joe drumming to AC/DC.
Mm-hmm.
If You Got Blood. It's one of my favorite scenes in that whole movie.
Yeah.
Because you see him rocking out, playing the drums, and everyone's going nuts. Everyone's dancing. They put the phone on the speaker. Everyone's hearing it. That's one of my favorite scenes. The other scene is more of a comical thing, is when Lucas went to AC and he's rolling the dice and he won $18,000. And then the girl goes, "Oh, you're kind of cute and all that." And then, "Well, you were cute. You just had all this cash. Now you're nothing."
Yeah.
It's something like those two scenes would probably be one of those two scenes would probably be my pitch, because it's like, if you love music, but if you like something comedy, there's something there for everybody.
Yeah.
Love that.
And the Atlantic City scene is like a cool, like a red herring. They think it's like a different movie than it really is.
Yes.
Like, oh, it's like a gambling movie. He's going to be running from the mob or something, but it's just like some...
Is Kevin Spacey in this?
Yeah. Are we watching 21 again? What the heck?
Yeah.
So I have a few, Matt. I don't know if ours overlap, but that's okay. I just love the first time we see them picking the music and dancing around the store and cleaning. Because I remember like having those moments where someone else got to choose the first CD or whatever, and you're opening the store and you're going through your checklist, and it's still fun. You're there. You're like, in my experience, like even my friends that weren't working would just be there. So we're all just hanging out at the shop and people are skateboarding out front. And I don't know, man, it just is, for me, it was really nostalgic and it's really cool. It shows like how fun the characters are and how good the music is. And just like, you really get a like sense of the aesthetic of the movie. You really know what you're about to watch. And I feel like it's like a good, just happy moment that I think would be enticing to most people. So I think I would go with the
that I have the same scene, so I'm just gonna piggyback off yours real quick before we check Ben's. I loved the method of choosing the song, like drawing the M&Ms was just like a cool way. Like to show that there's a system that they all obey, that they're all bought into.
Yeah.
And there's a camaraderie there. Yeah. And also the fact that like, they have, veto power, but overall, like they're all just kind of down with each other's picks. Like there's not any shaming going on for the most part. There's not any shaming.
You can tell like they might be annoyed, but they know all the words, Right.
Yeah, exactly. So like they're just kind of down with these like different personalities. And I like that scene because like you just barely got to know some of these characters. So you know that they're kind of a motley crew of different, character types. So it is cool to see them like someone wins, they play their music and everyone's down. And they're more of like admirers of like a shared love of pop culture than they are just like of their own tastes.
Yeah.
Like they're open to it all. So that's what I really loved about that scene. So
totally,
we have this. We would just share the same phone. We just show the person,
Yeah.
Here's our scene.
Yeah.
Ben, how about you?
I mean, I feel like I'm in the elevator with Gomez because mine is, the drumming scene. Like that became like a dream to me at some point. It's like, I'm going to have an office and I'm going to put a drum set in it. So whenever I'm mad, I can just play the drums. Like, it's just such a cool scene. And I like the scene in general, just like the guys like dancing and stuff. Like you mentioned, like they take the phone, off the receiver, put up to his door and play it throughout the store. And it was those kind of small details like the Eminem thing where it's like, oh, we are just like, they don't explain it. They just do it. And it's like, oh, okay, this is just like a thing that happens. Like it is the Eminem draw in the morning when Joe's freaking out and playing the drums. We're going to play it in the store. It's like just these things that happen. And I love that feeling of it because it's not like a lesser movie would have been like, oh, Joe's angry. Someone get the receiver up to the door. Like, it's like, nope, let's just do this. And we're going to dance to it. So yeah, that's definitely my favorite scene of this movie.
He also had a jukebox in his office too.
Pretty cool. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
When you look in the movie, you're like, wait a minute, that office is big enough to hold a jukebox and drums?
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. Like
he's a cool boss.
Yeah, he is.
One thing I really appreciate about this movie is that like it could have easily have been like the new guy's first day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like just the exposition machine, which
totally
isn't always a terrible thing. It works and people do it for a reason, but it's exactly like what you were saying, Ben. Like we don't need to know, like we can fill in the context, you know what I mean? And it's really smart in that way. I think it's like one of the reasons I think this movie is so clever.
It's interesting you say that because for some reason I couldn't figure out what to watch, and I went against the rules of what this pod's all about, and I threw on The Office again the other night. So I'm like, I got like 30 minutes to kill, and I put on the first episode. But it's that thing where it's like Ryan's the new temp, but like that's how we learn about like Jim and Dwight's like back and forth, with the stapler or whatever. Like it can be done well.
Okay, Dwight, I'm sorry because I have always been your biggest fan.
Oh, nice. That's the way it is around here. It just kind of goes round and round.
You should have put him in custody.
Oh, hey, yes, new guy. And he scores.
But I do love in this where it's just like, no, this is just a lived in day in the life of Empire Records. Obviously something happened last night, but this is just how it goes. One super quick thing that I saw in the trivia that I'm had never known before and I'm really curious about, but apparently they really chopped this thing in post-production because it was supposed to take place over 2 days instead of a single day. Yeah. And they cut like 40 minutes of footage instead of removing 3 significant characters. So I'm like, did we get more Eddie? Did we get more Burko? Like what? Because they are just very quick characters in this.
Tobey Maguire Tobey Maguire was in this movie. And I think that's one of the characters that got cut out.
Gotcha. Wow. So I'd be curious, like give me, normally we're fans of make it 15 minutes shorter, but give me the 6-hour Empire Records. I want to see,
totally.
I want to see all of it.
I want to see what the hell Tobey Maguire was being in that.
Yeah.
They have him in the casting as a guy named Andre.
Interesting.
So, his character was cut, I think, because I don't remember him being in the movie.
No, not at all.
So it's kind of weird.
Deleted, yeah.
We'll never know. The editors would.
Toby, if you're listening, leave it in the comments.
Let us know. Please come on.
Stop playing poker for just 1 minute. Tell us what the hell you were doing in Empire Records.
That's what we want to know. And I'll play you for your, or I'll play poker for you, Toby, to find out what.
Here we go.
Yeah.
I'll play you a game of poker, Toby, to see what you were doing. To get that.
Right.
I really want it.
Okay. Sounds like we've got the offer for Toby. I love this movie and I love hearing, I guess, the adjacent movies that people would pair with this movie. And I was trying to think of how could I present this in a way where I could pair this with another movie. And I was stupid. I remember we have a segment where Adam Driver actually has tasked us with pairing this movie with another movie at his drive-in theater.
I just had sex. I'm about to eat nachos. It's the greatest moment of my life.
The Adam Driver drive-in. Adam, every once in a while, lets us at 3 Films in a Podcast choose what movies are shown. And he's trying to put butts in seats. So he wants, the best lineup possible, which is, I mean, that's a big ask. Adam, sometimes it's a lot of work trying to put together the right combo here, but we'll do it.
We'll sacrifice for you.
We'll do
our
it.
best.
We're gonna have Gomez do it with us tonight, and I'd be curious, Gomez, if you were to pair this, have a bill for a drive-in theater. What are you showing with this movie, and what are you showing first, and what are you showing second?
So I paired it with another good movie. It's all about music. It's about the fun. But I would actually start it off with Wedding Singer first.
Okay.
With Adam Sandler.
I like it.
Love it.
First of all the 80s nostalgia of the music,
Totally.
Again, all-star cast, John Lovitz, Adam Sandler, Drew Buscemi, Drew Barrymore, just an all-star cast. That's one movie I think would pair perfect. And I had to go out Empire Records second because you go from the 80s to the 90s. So
I love it.
It took me a few minutes to figure out what am I going to pair it with and how. So it's like, if we're doing a 90s movie, let's think further back.
Yeah.
And, the perfect, one of the funniest, I thought was a hilarious movie, is definitely Wedding Singer, because it has that 80s nostalgia, the DeLorean, the guy thinking he's Don Johnson, don't pick in the car. You know what I mean? It was just I think this paired both of them pretty well. I know a lot of people probably would have said to me High Fidelity, which is another great movie.
Yeah.
But if I was going with the music theme wise, I'm going Wedding Singer first, Empire Records second at a drive-in.
Love it.
Love it.
Well,
Ben, how about
Gomez.
you?
Let's let Tyler. I think his will lean right into it.
Yeah, so I would go. The first thing I thought, it wasn't even a hesitation for me, is I'd go straight into High Fidelity. I almost see like AJ becoming whatever John Cusack's character is.
I can see
in
that
High
too.
Fidelity. You know what I mean? Like, because in High Fidelity he goes through his relationships, but I don't think he goes back to high school. I don't think that was one of his great loves. So maybe he doesn't work out with Liv Tyler and he bails to Chicago. And
I was gonna say Corey breaks his heart, and then he's just like, becomes real insular. I'm being a music person now.
I could totally see it, but man, I love High Fidelity. It's, to me, honestly, like these are the two sides of the same coin. Like, one's the adult version and one's like the teenage version. You know what I mean?
And that's why I figured gotta do something else. I had to do something else.
I love it.
You're right.
To me, it's the obvious pick, and I was like, sometimes I try to like stray from the obvious, but I was like, I actually want to do this. I want to watch both back to back in real life. So,
and you're right. It seems like you have AJ growing up, and then you have the John Cusack character.
Yeah,
and I think that's a perfect fit actually too.
Yeah.
So so far, the 4 movies that we got going are perfect fits for each other.
For sure, absolutely.
Yeah. I thought about High Fidelity as well, and then it made me wonder, like, obviously it goes against our rules with TV, but I would suggest a TV show to anybody. I don't know if any of you have watched it on Hulu with Zoe Kravitz. They kind of redid High Fidelity, but it's so good, really well done. So I at first I was going to do 2 day in the life of the job movies. But then kind of even as we've been talking, I was like, nope, we're going for a 1995 double feature here. We're doing Empire Records. And then instead of Clerks, we're going to do Mallrats. Because I think Mallrats would pair really well with Empire Records.
They would for sure go shop there. That's for
right. Yeah, a little more of the patron side than the worker side. But my first thought was Clerks. I was like, yeah, let's do Clerks. Like, the shitty part of the job, but also like there's some fun part of the job. But I was like, no, I think Mallrats is more the vibe of Empire Records. I think Gomez, when you were talking about, Sam Goody and all that kind of stuff, like, yeah, man, I would leave Empire Records and like, okay, I want to go to the mall now, that kind of thing. So it just feels like they go together.
I'll go to the dirt mall.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what I go with. I love Mallrats. I think it's a great movie. I think it's a little, I don't know if it's an underrated movie, but just not one to hear about a bunch when you talk about Kevin Smith. So
no, any of Kevin Smith's movies, Mallrats, Clerks 2.
Yeah.
Any of his movies, even Clerks 3, all his movies have been underrated. And I mean, the only one that got real like exposure was Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. You know what I mean? So it's one of those I love all 3 Clerks movies. I love the third one. If you guys have not seen it, I recommend it. Clerks 1 and 2, unbelievable. I love that whole thing of the first one with the black and white, because you don't see that anymore. And seeing that and going right to Clerks 2, which is even better with movies.
Yeah.
You know, and being a Jersey guy, it feels great to have that movie sense, you know what I mean?
For sure.
There.
Totally.
So, you know, seeing Jersey being represented by Kevin Smith, who is a Jersey guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's huge, you know what I mean? So for me, I love that pick too. So, wow. I mean, you got 6 great movies already.
Yeah. We're selling tickets for sure.
Don't fuck it up, Matt.
Putting butts in seats for sure.
I don't know how many butts in seats I'm going to get, honestly, with my pick, but I don't care. Your guys' movies are good enough. So we're selling out the theater anyway. Mine leans more into the patron side as well, similar to Ben's. And Gomez, you kind of touched on this earlier when you were just talking about sort of how you've interacted with record shops, you know, recently, and how, you know, you go in and, you know, the format of a record shop for those too young to have experienced the record shop is you could go in and you could sample the music prior to buying it. You could sift through the CDs. If anything catches your eye, take it to one of the players that they usually had on hand and listen to them, and then make your purchase afterward, which is super awesome. And this movie, I feel like because like this you know, this group and this the people who work there are sort of bought into the culture. It just creates like such a cool environment, and it even has like, it shows like the different stereotypes of those listening booths. Like it does that pan shot where it shows all the people and all the crazy things that you can imagine would happen in those, which I'm sure all of those things that it showed has happened in those booths
for daily.
So again, another snapshot of that time and era. But that scene alone reminded me of like one of my favorite scenes of all time. And it's a scene that I discovered on this podcast when we covered Richard Linklater's The Before trilogy. And so I'd pair this with Before Sunrise, where they visit a record shop and they have that moment, you know, in one of those listening booths, you know, checking out some of the music there. And to me, I like the pairing. So I'd show that first, and then I'd show Empire Records, because that kind of gets the feel of like what the patrons there, like why those moments and those experiences matter to the people who would attend record shops. And you get the buy-in because in Empire Records, Mark gets on the news stations like, hey, come help Empire Records. And people like show up in mass, and you're bought in because you know how much this record shop means to people, like the experiences they're having, interacting with the shop and the music that's available there and the culture there. And so that would be my billing. I'd go Before Sunrise, then I'd go Empire Records.
I love that.
Beautiful.
And we've talked ad nauseum now about this found family dynamic that these employees have with one another. And to me, it's my favorite part of this movie, the culture there. And so for our Rushmore Mountain, which is essentially where we're each going to pick a movie that fits, you know, the criteria tonight's going to be found family. And so we're just going to pick our favorite movie that has that found family dynamic to put on our Rushmore.
These are OR scrubs. Oh, are they?
And we'll start with you, Gomez.
I had a lot to pick. First of all, you know, one of the movies that Brian always loved is That Thing You Do. But that wasn't the one. Then I have The Matrix. And that's another one. Then there's Breakfast Club.
Yeah.
Which reminds me back of my detention days. And then there's Home Alone. But then I really got to think about it, is what sports is what really bonded a lot of me and my friends. And I went with Varsity Blues.
Yes.
I like, you know, the football field for me as a lineman, I was friends with best friends was my quarterback, my running back, my receivers, my tight end. You know, we would go drinking just like that. After we were turned 21, not 17 or 18.
Yes.
Yeah. Mountain Dews.
Man, I saw Friday Night Lights. I know how it goes.
So that whole thing of a family and being together and the team always having your back, that's something that that bond formed for me in high school.
Yeah.
And as I look at Varsity Blues, Friday Night Lights, Matrix, Home Alone, The Breakfast Club, that thing you do, that's all family.
Yeah.
But the thing that bonded me the most with my friends at that time and my team was football. So Varsity Blues it's a home. I mean, it's got a little soft spot for me because the team colors were similar to mine, except my colors are a little bit darker.
Oh, nice.
So, you know, it's one of those things. Except we're not Coyotes, we were something else. But the colors were there, but the chromality, the way the team acted was like my team, my senior year. So that's one thing I loved about it. But the quarterback didn't get injured. I didn't faint or anything. So that was the good thing. We made sure. What was funny, he was number 4 too.
Oh, really?
So my senior year quarterback was number 4, but my number wasn't 69. My number was 79.
Oh, nice.
Pretty close.
And the running backs were in the 23s and the 40s. So, you know,
that's cool.
And we did have a tweeter, except he was number 18 though. He wasn't number 80. So, you know, everyone, you know, and that reminds me a lot of my friends back in the day, which brings a lot of cool emotions, and remember the highs, the lows as a team.
Yeah.
But we all had each other's backs. So for me, Varsity Blues has that soft spot.
Yeah.
I love it.
It's a perfect answer, my friend.
Thank you.
You're nailing this movie club application.
Hopefully I get the stamp on this one.
Oh, you're in, dude. I had the same problem as Gomez, man. There's a lot that I wanted to pick. I still honestly, this is like the most difficult choice I think I've had to make for any Rushmore segment.
Wow.
Because there's movies that are like I genuinely love. There's movies that I think deserve to be on the list that I know won't be if I don't say it. You know what I mean? So I don't know, man. The first thing that came to my head was The Matrix. It's one of my all-time favorites. We've covered it on this podcast. And I feel like I talked earlier how I like to go against the grain. I don't want to watch that because everyone else does. I'm not going to pick The Breakfast Club because everyone else would, you know? Yeah. So I'm going to stick true to myself. And I'm going to pick The Matrix. I think we don't need to go too much into it, but there's a lot of good movies that have this trope, and I'm realizing it might be like my favorite trope because I love so many of these movies.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's like a version of I think why I like the Ocean's 11 trope of like get the gang together.
Yeah.
You know, it's
kind
of like
totally
the old family kind of thing. I guess maybe that would qualify for this, but I didn't even think about that till right now.
That's a good call.
Tyler, you put, you have a lot of options on here, and I'm like upset with myself that I didn't even think about Guardians, because that's like, to me, it's like
surprised.
The ultimate found family thing. But I went with one that's like a little bit literal, but I think also works in the sense of this. And I just went with the first Harry Potter movie, because I mean, he finds the Weasleys like at platform 9 3/4, but then I mean, he was a boy under the stairs. Like he doesn't have a family, like literally, like his family hates him. Then he gets like essentially adopted by the Weasleys, but then there's also like the little bond of like him and Ron and Hermione. And then by the end of the series, like Dumbledore's army, just all this kind of stuff. So I think that's, just a running theme, I think, for Harry throughout the whole series, just like never having had a family that he really knew or that loved him, and then kind of getting embraced by all these people. So if I have to narrow it down to one movie, I'm just going to go with the first one, because there is just the literal finding them on the platform. But the whole Harry Potter series, I think, is what I'd pick.
It's a great choice. I love that.
Solid.
Yeah, and I feel like, I mean, there's a lot of reasons why Harry Potter was so popular and how well it was written and like the magic around it. But honestly, I feel like the thing that people relate to the most is that relationship there. People gravitate towards it, and it's easy to latch onto. I've loved all these picks. And I am going to, close this episode the same way I opened it. And I'm going to choose Mixed Nuts for my found family movies.
You're LaPaglia, man. You keep saying no, but we know it's your guy.
We're going heavy on LaPaglia this episode.
Yeah, lots.
But the thing, so these are two great LaPaglia movies. Like if you're to compare, if you're to watch both of them and get like sort of a sample of his work, he's great in both of those movies. He puts on a great performance at both those movies. Mm-hmm. And I personally love both of them. I know that, Mixed Nuts gets a bad rap in some circles, but
not from us.
Not any circle I want to be a part of.
And I love that group, especially in the sense that in Mixed Nuts, you have a group where like not all the characters even like really like each other at the beginning of the movie, but in the end, they're all just like, for better or for worse, they're, together, and the rest is history. We all know how that ends. If you don't, go watch the movie.
Go see it. Go listen to us talk about it.
Definitely.
Yeah.
But
that was Matt's first unsung gem, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah.
But actually, so I'm looking at your list, and you got two other great picks too. Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That was a great family movie. But I kind of like the Point Break.
Yeah.
In a twisted kind of way.
It's a twisted way, yeah. Like, but he found a family he didn't know he wanted,
Yeah, exactly. But that reminds me of like,
he couldn't have.
And what's kind of funny, that reminds me of Fast and the Furious.
Yeah.
With the Brian O'Connor. He found his niche.
Lord knows it's all about family.
It was about family. Yeah, exactly. So something like that. So
Fast and Furious would be a great pick too.
That's the thing, is like it's such a great trope, and so many good movies come from it. And you could do it over and over and over and over again, because Matt, I think I put in our Slack channel that if we didn't do this Rushmore, we could do like character ensemble movies. And character ensemble and found family, they kind of just go hand in hand. And I love that. Like Ocean's 11 is not only is it a great like actors ensemble, but all those characters are so fun. And so it's just it's just a perfect mixture for a fun movie.
Yeah. Without a doubt.
Yeah, that's awesome. Gomez, it was so great to have you on to chat through this movie.
Yes,
I want to give you one last opportunity to plug, your projects that you have.
Once again, guys, I said Playlist Wars is on hiatus, but still check out all our past episodes on playlistwars.com. You can check us out on Twitter on Playlist Wars. Also, you can check me out on Twitter at Gomez79. I am coming out with a new show in 2023 called Sleevey G Show. It's all about fun, sports, movies, music, not the politics, but everything else. No. So, once I get that up and running, guys, I would love to have you on there too. We could do all four of us together and talk about whatever, you guys want to combine in one big thing. I'm cool with it. You know what I mean? We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to 2023 is going to be a big year for everybody. I think, podcast wise, I'm looking forward to it. I'm a little scared, a little nervous, but if I can get 5 people to listen to me on YouTube or Twitter or wherever, I'm going to be excited. So
yeah, exactly.
Awesome.
I'm looking forward to the challenge now. And, when Playlist Wars comes back on, I look forward to it again, to talk to Brian again, talk music, and definitely Misfits. We get you on there. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
We'll have fun with it. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of great things that, could be happening in 2023, which I can't wait for.
Well, I'm so stoked that you came on. The last thing I want to say about this movie is that like this, we've talked about it before on the pod, but this feels like one of those litmus test movies where if you talk to someone and they like this movie, it's like, okay, I think we will get along.
Totally.
Like we've got a similar taste. Like
absolutely.
If you've heard of this, but 2, if you love this, then it's like, we're
friends.
We're kin.
Oh,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So when you reached out, like, Empire Records, I'm like, I knew I liked you already from listening to all the, Playlist Wars, but when you were like, I want to come talk about that, I was like, fuck yeah, man, like this is gonna be a good one. Anyone that wants to talk about this movie, I'm on board with.
I was so excited when you guys I said that, and you were like, oh hell yeah. I'm like, great, this will be such a great show.
Yeah.
And and just being part of with you guys tonight was just awesome. And I can't thank you guys enough for allowing me to be on the show with you guys. And hopefully my application to get into the club is good now.
Oh, you're in.
You're in. Approval. Yeah, you're good.
So there we go. So that makes me feel great because you guys had some awesome questions to throw at me I wasn't expecting. So being put on the spot and picking some stuff, you're like, wow, he's already there.
Yeah, you crushed it, man. This is a blast.
So I can't thank you guys enough.
Oh yeah, well
thank you. The pleasure is all ours.
Pleasure.
And to you out there listening, thank you for joining us. Next, we have queued up for this Sung Gems round is Tyler will be hosting us through The Big Lebowski.
That's right, dude.
Which I haven't seen. So
really?
it's going to be...
See, this is so beautiful. I got to watch one of Matt's favorites. He's finally going to see one of our favorites. Like,
I can't wait.
This is so good.
That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
I might just listen to that episode with a White Russian for you.
That's the only way.
Oh, please. Thank you.
You'll get kicked right back out of movie club if you don't.
Oh, sweet, man.
All right. Well, thank you all. Please tune in again to next episode. Thank you for joining us tonight, and we'll see you later.
Bye, everyone.
Take care.
The best man, everybody.
Best man, the better man.
Hey, we've all done crazy things in our lives, so.
He's playing the guitar now. Isn't that great?
Hey.
He's doing good.
Yeah, sounds good. Yeah. It's because I'm the best guitar player in the world. Yeah. Self-taught, no lessons. Thank you very much, Pop.